A long time ago, on a comics page far, far away. Greetings and welcome to May the Panel Be With You, the Star Wars comic book show brought to you by the Punch Up Entertainment Network. I am your humble host, Mike Gargoni, and joining me, as always, the green lightsaber to my pink lightsaber, it's John Campbell.
Oh, Gargoni, it's fight night.
It is fight night. John, I'm just going to come out and say it right out at the top. I unapologetically love this issue.
I like a lot of it. Yeah.
I think it does a lot of the things that we've complained about for so long in this book. It builds on the lore that this book is setting up, as precarious and as eye-rolly as it might be to us. There is now 95 other issues of stories that this book can build on, and it's starting to do that.
The thing that's kind of a bummer, and I think we talked about this a little bit last week, is it's almost over.
It's almost over, yeah.
At the very end, they start actually, in its last legs, this thing is going to turn into a real interesting comic book. And you're just what? Why
I'm
now?
Oh, baby, we're cooking. Wait, we only have how many issues left? Shit.
Yeah, I know. You're oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Now we're building lore? What are we doing?
Because yes, we are covering issue number 96 of the original Marvel Star Wars comic. This came out in June of 1985, according to publishing dates that I have in front of me. 1985, of course, the year of the Ewok.
I think it was officially dubbed that. I was born in the year of the Ewok.
The year of the Ewok. That's on some kind of year-based calendar. I think that my personal zodiac sign in Star Wars is probably a Mon Calamari, but
there you go. It's born in the year of the Mon Calamari. Oh,
but this was, of course, written by Joe Duffy. We've got pencils by Cynthia Martin, who's back. Yep. Inks by Bob Wyacek. Our inkers are kind of bouncing back and forth, which is, I think, more indicative of why the art style is a little bit all over the place over the last few issues.
Well, inking is one of those invisible art forms, right, in comics, right? Where you're you don't really, but yes, it does. It can hugely change the art style of a book.
Absolutely. And we've got Glennis Ween, eventually Oliver on colors, and Rick Parker on our letters, with an editing team that we are familiar with our Ann Nesentes and our Jim Shooters.
Indeed.
Though, again, how much Jim Shooter was paying any amount of attention to this book, because he's in the middle of conducting the most secret of wars.
Are we still publishing a Star Wars book? That's good.
I have a different war to conduct, and it's secret.
No. Don't tell anyone about the wars we're doing over here. Once again, anytime I saw an interview with Jim Shooter, I was always surprised at how, kind of dull he was. Because you just think he'd be a madman, but instead he's just when I published Marvel Comics, you're just oh, wow, okay. You expect to be that's right, I did it, man. It was crazy.
There's a lot to be said about the banality of evil.
Yeah. Apologies to the Shooter family. I'm sure you're lovely people. All right.
No. But I mean, okay. We always make jokes about Jim Shooter being some kind of monster.
It's very easy to.
It's very easy because there was this sort of reputation, especially let's be honest, a lot of this comes from Claremont.
Well, yeah. Let's say there were several, and not just him, mostly him, but there were several notable writers who bitched about him a lot.
Yes, and so where we're getting a lot of our impressions of the man outside of interviews from the time is A, the publishing decisions that are clearly on the page, and B, the retrospective bitching done by writers.
100%. He was a guy who came in and and really shook things up.
Yeah.
For better and worse. And that's
for better and worse, yes.
But I think that's also why there's sort of this vision of him amongst comic book fans as a guy who was kicking indoors going, this is how we're doing things now, and you're gonna like it. But in actuality, I think he was just a guy who goes, sales are flagging and we should try the following things.
Sales patterns indicate that Wolverine is a popular character and should be put on the covers of many comic books.
He was a guy whose job was to turn the ship around. I mean, but it is fun to imagine him as a megamaniacal,
Well, especially when you get to Secret Wars 2 and it becomes like a self-insert to a certain extent.
Well, I will say he did himself no favors, especially down the stretch. And we've even read quotes from people that say things like that, where it's like, oh, he did start out really hot. Then he was like, I have to keep innovating, and kind of ran himself into the ground. I mean, it's a common story amongst a lot of people who have run big companies and stuff. Anyway, all that's to say is this issue is pretty wild. And I will say I was struck immediately by the beginning of it, but let's talk about the cover because that's indicative of it.
The cover is indicative of it because right off the bat, we left off last issue with a duel having concluded between the Dark Lady Lumiya and Luke Skywalker, and that is what we're getting a scene of on the cover here, is Lumiya with her laser whip fighting Luke Skywalker with his green lightsaber. And yeah, this is, of course, the character of Lumiya, who I went on quite a bit about last time, but I will go on even more about this time.
Welcome to Lumiya Cast.
I mean, a little bit. I talked about this last episode, and I'll talk about it in more brief detail this episode, but like, I didn't realize this was the same Lumiya when this character first showed up like 10 issues ago.
Yeah, that this character actually continues for many years to come.
To the point where, like, last issue, it sort of blew my mind that it was the same character and made me, like, have that moment of deep, like, oh my god, this is unlocking something in me, as I remembered, like, the Legacy of the Jedi series, or Legacy of the Force series.
I have heard tell of Lumiya.
You mean the one who turned one of the Solo twins to the dark side? My god!
I mean, you're just like, you don't expect a character from this comic to ever have that level of importance in any version of the Star Wars story.
Right, yeah, exactly. So yeah, we have them dueling here, and when we get into the issue, like, that's what we're doing.
I mean, they open it up. Duel with a Dark Lady is our title.
So this is kind of a recap of what happened last issue. We got it in brief snippets last issue with like a series of cross-cut panels of Luke's duel with Lumiya. And then what we're getting in this issue is the entirety of the duel, like basically unedited in all of its comic booky glory with no dialogue.
Yeah, which is pretty wild. And I mean, we're definitely in the era where they're starting to experiment with that kind of stuff in comics. There are guys like Frank Miller and stuff, right, who are running around doing this kind of stuff. Totally. Where art is carrying the story. Which is now, we're totally familiar. The idea of even like wholly silent issues is not uncommon in today's world, obviously.
You mention Frank Miller, and I think the connection here is Ann Nocenti, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because she was also correct me if I'm wrong, I believe she was also the editor on Daredevil at the time.
I believe she was.
As he was taking over that book. And so, like, seeing her fingerprints on some of this stuff in the mid 80s of like pushing away from the more traditional ways of telling stories in comic books and leaning into like graphic visualization that we're more familiar with in the modern age. I think she is part of that connective tissue. And obviously the artists can't be undersold as well. But just also the writers giving them the space to do that sort of stuff, as opposed to like a Roy Thomas, who it felt like if he didn't get every single word on the page, he was gonna like not make rent this month.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. What you're starting to see, of course, is a rise of writer artists who obviously don't feel that same need because it's like, well, I'm also drawing it. So you're seeing, and then the reaction to that being positive. And so then more books being like, oh, I think we can back off some of the overwrought prose of a Chris Claremont. But love him. But it's an old fashioned style of comic book writing.
For sure. I was very struck by the first 7 or 8 pages of this book is
I
textless.
did have the thought reading it. I was going, is there ever going to be text? This could be, because once again, I've seen issues like that now, but that would have been pretty wild for anyway. So yeah, so we get Luke and Lumiya facing off. Then we turn the
Lumiya
page.
with her like enormous spawn cape just fluttering in the air around her.
I will say things get very expressionistic in this. Like how long is the whip and stuff like that. There's some very wild imagery here.
Yeah, we cut to our good, the bad, and the ugly shot of like
very Sergio Leone.
Luke Skywalker's eyes, Lumiya's eyes. We get an expression on Luke's face of like mild surprise for a panel that will pay off later. But like it was notable to me here, going back and rereading this, just like there is things being explained here in this moment that requires no text until later.
So yeah, so you've got, but I mean, it's like, yeah, the idea that we're not even just doing the fighting; it's the build up to the stare down.
Because Luke gets this expression of just like surprise as though he's realized something. And then Shira doubles down as her cape and whip kind of fold in around her to create this shroud of darkness.
Yeah, it's almost getting to St. Cabbage kind of stuff.
Totally. Yeah. Like her cloak is this kind of impressionistic garment that represents the amount of like the dark side in any given panel.
Which I gotta say is a huge. I mean, the thing that's wild about this issue, and I guess the last issue was somewhat of a gap here, of a stepping stone into this. Is this is a huge change in style for this book?
Totally, yeah.
Like all of a sudden, it's like, wow, okay.
I think some of that is the art. Some of that is just Joe Duffy's like leaning into certain storytelling and leaning away from certain other storytelling. I mean, last issue was balanced between like the hyper serious of what we're getting here with the Luke and Lumiya stuff and the zany of the Zeltrons.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, then total goofiness over there.
Yeah.
So we get on the next page, we get Luke pulling out his lightsaber, ignites it, and of course it's blue. Obviously.
Well, yeah, look. Just because they got the color right on the cover doesn't mean we can get it right on the interiors.
But once again, like we're still building up. He pulls out the lightsaber. He ignites it. She pulls out the whip and then fully like unfurls it. Once again, there's this build up to something. There's a momentum in this comic that we have never seen at this level.
Yeah. And again, I'm here for it.
That's great. Yeah.
Lumiya's light whip here is a little bit retconned. Last issue, it was just the like wispy razor edge of this laser coming out from it. And now it's a combination of that and this like cat o' nine tails extension of an actual whip.
There was a conversation between issues about like, we got to make this even cooler.
Right. And I mean, they do. It looks rad.
It's pretty cool.
And her like whipping it around her head in this last panel on this page, like completely consumed by darkness behind her. Like the lack of background seems intentional here.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
As opposed to sometimes it can feel lazy.
Right? No. This is definitely nothing about this feels lazy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because then when we go to the next page, she casts off her. Once again, impossible cloak. Like the physics of that. What is that? I have no idea.
It's a spawn cloak.
Yeah, in 3D space, it makes no sense.
It is the physical manifestation of the dark side that streams out from her shoulders. That's how I've interpreted it.
Well, because then, I mean, let's get into what this whip is doing. Like, try to follow this as a physical object. It's wild.
Yeah, no. It doesn't make a lick of sense, but it looks cool as all get out.
Oh, yeah. Once again, it's doing something that feels very modern in that way, right? It's not being literal, it's being expressionistic to convey the intensity, the action of this.
Right. So we get the whip circling around in the air, Luke trying to like get out of its way but not really making contact with it. They're up on this fucking mountainside overlooking an ocean.
He's just dodging it at this point.
Yeah. Well, because like how do you deal with a freaking laser whip?
Well, then when we turn the page, boom, it catches him in the face.
And specifically, like, the physical part of it catches him in the face. And then this is where we start to see that there's, like, a separation between the physical and energy bits of the whip as we proceed across this page. He gets hit by the physical part as he's trying to, like, beat back the laser part, and then the laser part is, like, catching around Luke's lightsaber while the physical parts are tearing at his clothing.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I mean, this thing feels like a monster unto itself.
Right. And then there's this great, I love this, just pure visual storytelling. Luke's lightsaber gets grabbed by the laser bit of the light whip. Mm-hmm. It's like she's trying to pull the lightsaber out of his hand, and then he's straining against it, and then we get a close-up on her hands as she turns off the laser part, throwing Luke off balance.
Yeah.
Like, he's straining backwards against the thing that's holding his lightsaber there, and then as soon as she turns it off, it is him falling backwards. It's one of those moments of, like, laser weapon fighting that when it's done well, it's so clever. And it's one of those things that we saw in The Acolyte, quite honestly, when you had, like, lightsabers flickering on and off to try to, like, get through people's defenses, or, like, that when the Khmer, like, kills, what's that Padawan's name? Anyway, you just see, like, the 3 bolts of the lightsaber piercing her in quick succession as he turns it on and off. And it was just like, oh shit, I haven't seen something like that before.
No, it's actually something that really is a cool thing that actually isn't done too much in Star Wars.
Well, because, I mean, and on sets, obviously, especially in the original trilogy, you had literal swords. So thinking about the physics of, like, turning them off and on again wasn't something that was practical.
It does feel like, as we go through time and the more Star Wars things you make, not only is the technology getting better, but we've seen these things, so new filmmakers come in and go, what can I do differently, right? Mm-hmm. How do I portray this very familiar imagery in a way people haven't seen before? I think The Acolyte did an amazing job with that.
So on the next page, we get more of the physical whips tattering at Luke as he's thrown off balance.
Oh, now he's just getting his ass handed to him at this point.
He's absolutely getting his ass handed to him. And then the energy whip bits come back on, and those are lashing at him as well. Yeah. And he's completely off balance and down on one knee.
Mm-hmm. And then when we go to the next page, he loses his lightsaber and just, I mean, is knocked to the ground completely. Defeated.
And that is where we found him at the end of last issue. Was him, like, back against a rock, completely unconscious, at the mercy of the Dark Lady Lumiya.
Now, here's something very interesting, because this is almost like an extended action pack previously on, because when we turn the page, now we get our creator credits.
Yeah. No, this is something we haven't seen in this book, or I think this is an early bit that we've seen in any other book as well, because, like, there will be issues sometimes where it's like the drama starts right out the get-go and you don't get the credits until, I mean, I've read issues where it's like you don't even get the credits till the end of the issue. It's just that riveting.
Yeah. That, I mean, once again, now nothing kind of throws me, because it does feel like everything is up in the air to be experimented with, even in Marvel and DC stuff. I will say, when we get to this page, isn't her issue with Leia?
No.
I
it
thought
never has been.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? Have you not read to the end of this issue?
Well, yeah, I have, but I'm saying, like, as I'm trying to put this in the perspective of that in the last we saw Lumiya, she was specifically wanting revenge on Leia, and now it's all about Skywalker.
Well, because I think, like, maybe this is a little bit of a retcon here. Maybe this is them making up this.
I'm just saying, when I read this, I went, what?
I think in the last issue, there was this moment where she was told about the whereabouts of Leia, but then as soon as she was told about where Luke Skywalker was, her plans changed.
Yes. And it in that moment, it felt just like, well, okay, if Luke is the closer threat, but this issue will expand more on that. But yes, at this point, I went, what is this now? Because it seemed like, anyway.
Yeah, no, and I think you're supposed to do that, because the reveal at the end of this issue about who Lumiya really is supposed to make you recontextualize everything we've seen up to this point.
Right. Um, anyway, she's talking to Morpheus, who knows this. This makes even more sense when it's the man who has haunted your nightmares for as long as I've known you. I know because I'm the god of dreams.
Yeah, this is one of the knives, another one of those like sprightly, pasty white, black-haired. Yeah, looks like somebody who's
Robert
like a distant
Smith from The Cure. Yeah,
yeah, he's a Sandman knockoff for sure.
big time. Yeah.
When did Sandman start? It's around this time, isn't it?
It's maybe a little late. Let's see. Because
anyway,
once again,
it is a visually distinct, like dark elf looking guy.
Sandman.
Honestly, he looks a little bit like the dark elves from Thor.
89. So no.
Okay, but I know for a fact Malekith the Accursed is kicking around at this point.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I would think he's got more dark elf, but it's just coincidental the way the hair is done and stuff. It feels very Sandman. Sure. Anyway, but also does mention, I guess they kind of have it both ways, right? Now that all that remains is to conquer those he served, your original enemies, the Alliance of Free Planets.
And then we get a little bit from Lumiya here saying that she's fought the Alliance before they were any of that, back when they were just a doomed rebellion against the Galactic Empire.
Mm-hmm. But immediately also is like, yeah, but really, it's about this guy.
I mean, for her, she says beating Skywalker is enough for me.
Right, like that's,
and then,
that's, but of course she says beating, because this guy's like, well, why didn't you kill him? It's like, whoa, that's not necessarily the plan.
Well, she also says there are worse things than death, Den. This guy's name is Den, by the way.
Oh, God, I'd missed that. Yeah. Knife and Den. What a species.
We learned last issue that Knife is maybe more of a title. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, yeah. That's interesting. Well, I guess that makes... Because the way that was introduced before was like, oh, they're unable to pronounce my name, so they call me Knife. And then they kind of... It's a slight retcon that like, and therefore we're all knives then?
Yeah, but also when that was introduced, that was a guy talking to Han Solo.
Yeah.
Maybe shouldn't be trusted as a narrator in terms of like what he's telling Han Solo, a guy he's trying to deceive.
The thing I'm trying to figure out about all of this, and we'll just never know, is like, once again, how much of a plan was there? Or how much of a, like, we wrote a thing, we wrote another thing, hey, those two things should be connected. Oh, we could build this. I would just be so curious to know how they built this continuity and stuff.
Like so many comics of this era, especially, it's going to be a combination of things, right? Like
the thing that makes me think that more so just in this, especially of this era, is that there had been no attempt to build that up until now. So I just wonder, like, what was the inciting incident that made Joe Duffy go, fuck it, I'm going all in on an ongoing story and this stuff.
And that's kind of the turn here, is like now we are establishing a true ongoing narrative, whereas before it was like, well, we have these little arcs that kind of have to let us tread water between movies. And even after the movies were done, where it was like, well, these are just like some ongoing space adventures. But now we actually feel like we're building towards something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, I mean, I don't know if that was like Joe Duffy saying I want to do that, or if Editorial was like, hey, we can do this now, so start laying those seeds. I would be curious. This is where I could use some behind the scenes stuff.
Sure.
Because yeah, it does sort of feel like they are really, in the absence of a Darth Vader, they're really like, we have this character Lumiya who we're going to build up to be a major villain.
But it feels weird, right? Because she's introduced as such a villain of the week in that first Leia
That's
issue.
What I'm saying. It's just like, I really, if that's the case, that was a super weird way to introduce her, and if it was the plan.
But honestly, that feels like, in retrospect, as a like, well, this character was just bopping around. Leia happened to careen into her. If that hadn't happened, eventually there would have been a more dramatic reveal like we got in the last issue. Mm-hmm. But Leia just happened to bump into her ahead of schedule.
I do love this guy just being like, look at this thing. It's that lightsaber. What does it do? How does
this is his weapon, the lightsaber, used by those who study the fighting skills and mystic arts of the Jedi Knights, who once kept the peace in this galaxy. So this is a guy who, like, doesn't know much about the galaxy. It becomes very clear. Right.
It's like I've heard tell of this, and he's just looking at the hilt of it, going like, what's this doohickey?
And she gives a fairly like concise explanation of like how a lightsaber works, which again, we're like all of this stuff that she knows about like how Jedi fight and how the rebellion works and like Luke Skywalker in particular, we're building towards like, oh, this is somebody who's been around.
We're just now getting that because that really we've known very little about her up to that point. So yeah, because she does say when you activate that stud on the hilt, it releases a beam of coherent energy which forms the sword blade.
Then we get Den being like, oh, laser swords, that's nice. Well, I like something I can stab somebody with.
We're a knife culture. I come from the knife people, so...
But like most of my race, I prefer a blade whose heft I can feel in my hand and whose edge I can test on my finger.
And
all right, Goth.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I like knives. I'm into knives. But also then explains, because we're more familiar with those energy weapons now, but that's kind of a new idea in Star Wars at this point. The idea that like the whip is a physical thing that has laser energy within it. In places, because he explains that here. Only some of the whip's tendrils are energy. Others of them are formed by corporeal, formed of metal or of hides. So it's kind of a new thing. Because was it vibroblades or
vibroblades are a thing we'll eventually get to, and like obviously as time has gone on in Star Wars, it's been like, okay, we have to have stuff that lightsabers can't cut through, or else there's just no challenge.
Right, but we can't all of a sudden give everybody lightsabers, so we need some sort of middle ground weapon.
Right. So that's how we get vibroblades. That's how we get like the whole like, oh yeah, and by the way, Beskar is also resistant to lightsabers.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Of course. Mandalorian steel, strongest metal in the galaxy.
Obviously. And so anyways, but yeah, I just like the way he's like, cute toy.
But Lumiya goes on to say, it's like, yeah, I had to use a weapon like that because his Jedi training lets him react to either physical weapons or energy weapons, but not both at the same time.
Which feels like a huge gap in Jedi training.
I mean, look, in most instances, like, what are the odds of someone using, like, a laser weapon and a regular-ass weapon literally as the same weapon? It almost never happens.
Yes, that it is unclear. This comic is very much presenting that is super uncommon.
And I would say even to date in Star Wars, I can't think of another instance of that.
I guess that's true, yeah.
So rarely are weapons both a physical and energy component at the exact same time. It almost never comes up.
But it almost feels like then, have we now created the anti-lightsaber to the point where now is this too powerful?
I mean, Lumiya's the only one who's wielded it up to this point, so it takes obviously a lot of skill and or training to use something like that.
Yep.
But Den is like, okay, so now he's going to live and learn, and next time he'll know better.
What I'm saying is I should stab him. Like, or you can take one of my knives, you can stab him. Somebody needs to stab him.
Lumiya is saying there will be no next time, but come on. It's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I feel that there will be. Then she asks if we heard from the main fleet.
Word is good. We received a transmission just before they made their last drop into hyperspace. They were pleased to hear we had the underground base ready here, and points of power throughout this galaxy already established.
I mean, is this kind of the beginning? I mean, obviously, any post-Jedi thing has to introduce something like this, or feels at least they have to, right? Whether that be Thrawn or something like the First Order, there is some new conglomerate of bad guys that are working together.
Sure. Yeah.
And so this is, at this point, we still don't know a ton about what this exactly is.
We learn what they're called, though, because as Den says here, as Lumiya intones, their victory is important to me and to all of my allies. I wouldn't leave anything to chance. And Den says, neither, dear Lumiya, do the Nagai. So whatever this threat is are called the Nagai.
Now, that's what the fleet is called, not what his race is called?
Yes, it is both.
Okay, gotcha. Or knives. The knives of the Nagai.
The Knives of the Nagai. Yes, that is their title.
There should be a fucking novel called that. That feels like a Star Wars book.
I mean, there is a page on Wikipedia that says The Knives of the Nagai. I don't know what to tell you.
That just seems like a book I would have come across in a used bookstore as a Star Wars novel called The Knives of the Nagai. Anyway.
We get a bit of a recap of last issue as Den is like, I want to, before the others get here, I want to figure out what the hell happened with those 4 teenage boys who were so glamorous and kicked our asses last issue.
The line about the 13 guy who had captured a major diplomatic base of the Alliance were defeated and captured by 4 unarmed teenage boys. I'm sorry. What?
That is what happened last issue.
Well, if that happened, maybe we should just forget the whole thing. Jesus. That's embarrassing. Yeah.
Zeltrons, no less.
Well, because they do say that. They're like, well, there's nothing extraordinary in that. The boys were Zeltrons. And you're like,
the explanation we get here from Lumiya about how Zeltrons work,
bonkersville. Okay,
there's nothing extraordinary in that. The boys were Zeltrons. If your people wish to conquer here, they'd best learn to allow for that. All Zeltrons are obsessed with romance. When they cannot love, they fight. Both are sports to them. Now, coupled with their love of gambling, it makes one Zeltron, in the grip of enthusiasm, a formidable enemy. A pack of adolescents is virtually a force of nature.
I'm not going to say this is a retcon because we haven't seen much in the way of Zeltrons. But I will say it's a fundamental shift in how I'm supposed to view them.
I love the idea that, like, okay, we've been sort of, and the galaxy at large has sort of been misreading Zeltrons a little bit in terms of, like, they get into the grip of an enthusiasm, and they become practically, like, single-minded in that pursuit. That is something that we've seen, but it's mostly in terms of, like, physical pleasure and romance.
Yes. Yeah, but barring that, fighting is next.
But if they, like, the next physical expression that they would latch onto is combat.
Violence. Yeah. Although I will say, having seen them in action in the last issue, it's a pretty silly form of combat.
It's a lot of, like, tumbling and punching and yahooing and...
It's a lot of...
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of flailing about, but successfully landing hits still. We talked about some of the poses they drew those Zeltrons in the last issue were wild.
Retroactively, I think about it a lot, like Jackie Chan drunken master stuff, right?
Oh, that's like, an interesting read. Maybe that's the kind of martial arts we're dealing with and stuff here.
Uh-huh. It's like
from clumsy style.
From in combat perspective, the person they're fighting sees what they're doing and sees it like bumbling idiocy. And yet, somehow, they're getting kicked in the face.
I like that read. They definitely didn't think about that, but I like that read. That's great, yeah. Oh, those Zeltrons.
But speaking of reads that I don't like, here Den is saying, like, well, we've got this Zeltron captured. Maybe I could learn a little something from her in my private quarters.
Well, let me have her. That's not great.
Yeah.
And perhaps before I'm through, she might learn a little from me as well.
Danny. God. Danny, I'm usually not rooting for you, but in this moment, I want you to tear this guy's throat out.
Yeah. and Lumiya's attitude is just like, I don't really care about anybody with Luke Skywalker anyway, so.
Yeah, I have Skywalker. None of the rest matter to me.
Yeah. And it's like, very good. Pack up the Zeltron for me.
Yeah, because we also have this guy here who is, I think we got his name last issue. I don't remember it. He is one of the rebel scouts that was sent to this planet originally.
Lando Calrissian. It's so bad, the drawing.
He was being tortured at the start of last issue.
Meanwhile, cut to Kiro's actively dying.
Yeah, he's flopping around on land, but then sploosh, he gets himself into the water and he's fine.
I have to. Oh, good water.
And we get this whole page here of Kiro like revivifying himself wandering back on the shore, getting back to their ship, digging around for any kind of supplies that will help him mount a rescue operation, realizing that, 3PO packed the wrong luggage.
Oh, right. That's because they figured that out in the last issue, the other side of the story. But in this issue, now they're figured out. That silly droid.
Party dresses. I must have the wrong box.
Oh, no. They switched our luggage. Damn it, 3PO.
So he doesn't have any combat gear outside of a knife and a space helmet that he can, like, jerry-rig into being a water helmet for himself.
Yeah. Which he's going to use for his combat, his incursion here into the...
Kiro goes full Metal Gear Solid here.
Big time. He throws a rock to distract this guard.
And then just guts him.
Yeah. I like we have to pull out wide. It's like, how wide can we allow an impaling?
I mean, it's pretty obvious what happens, because then we cut back to close and there's a pool of blood around this guy's torso.
Yeah. And then we got a couple other guys. I love that they all look like members of like a goth rock band from the 80s. That's just 100%. The vibe of this race. And it's just like, hey man, we're looking around at stuff, but we didn't find anything out there.
Hopefully, where'd our buddy go? I don't know. Maybe he's already inside. All right, let's get inside.
Yeah, that was Mendo. They got gutted.
I love that they gave the guy who is already dead a name after the fact. Yeah. Rip Mendo.
I also like, he better be inside, otherwise he'll be in real trouble. And Kiro thinking, he is.
Kiro is being so dramatic as he's trying to do his lone warrior thing here.
Yeah. And now so are you. And so is anyone else who tries to stop me.
I mean, earlier on the page when he's standing over the dead guy saying, "It is one your leader left for dead, an Iskalonian ghost who wants a lot of company."
So anyway, Luke Skywalker coming out of unconsciousness, hears his name being shouted.
Yeah, and Kiro, let's just abandon all forms of subtlety here, explodes the door into Luke's cell.
What is this weapon? It doesn't, he's got this thing cranked up to maximum setting and blows this door to pieces.
He says it's a Stinger, which is one of those, like, underwater guns. So my no prize for this is just like, okay, underwater, it's a reasonable, like, power because you have to have, like, way more power for it to travel underwater.
The resistance of water, yeah.
Yeah, so on the surface, like Aquaman's super strength, it's, like, cranked up to 11 compared to what we're used to.
I'll give you that.
He's got a sea-strengthened gun.
Yeah. Anyway, it's like, I brought bandages and ointment.
Where did we hadn't invented Bacta yet.
Yeah. Well, we have.
Actually, yeah. When did they first name drop Bacta? Like a Bacta tank? I don't think they actually ever say it in Empire. I know it appears in Empire.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, because, of course, growing up as a kid, I always had that, like, encyclopedia that called that a Bacta tank. So in my mind, that's always been a Bacta.
So when anyone says ointment in Star Wars, my first thought was like, oh, Bacta ointment. Okay, got it.
Right.
That's the thing you can slap on anything and heal you with.
Yeah,
I mean, if Star Wars video games have taught me anything.
Oh, yeah. Back to tanks. Yeah.
But yeah, Kiro's here. He's rescuing Luke. Luke is unsteady, but getting himself up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I went down the rabbit hole back to tanks.
Oh, John, there's so much.
Yeah.
When does Bacta originally said out loud? I mean, it's got to be the novelization, right?
I think, yes. Because it's the same thing about, like, the way they keep saying Sith in this comic, even though they never use the word Sith in any of the movies. But it's in the writings of stuff.
Sure. I'm sure in the script for Empire, George wrote, like, and Luke Skywalker is in a Bacta tank, and everyone who's, like, a set designer is like, what the hell's a Bacta tank? I'm just going to make a big thing.
Lawrence Kasdan's like, nobody cares, George! What are they saying? Anyway. So Luke's kind of out of it and trying to figure out what's going on. And
Kiro establishes that they haven't found Danny anywhere, so she's probably a prisoner.
Also, I do I was very stealthy until 30 seconds ago.
I exploded a door. Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, he's patching him up, and he's, for not having the right luggage, he did manage to find most of the stuff they needed here.
I mean, we'll get into it, but he brings enough stuff to make a new lightsaber.
Which is insane. And Luke, of course, is feeling real down because he lost that fight.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first true ass kicking we've seen Luke get in this comic, really.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Hey man, I'm sorry I was a dick. I'll teach you how to be a Jedi."
Yeah, if we make it out of this, you deserve to be trained as a Jedi. I don't know if I'm going to be a good teacher, but Kiro, you're A+ in my book.
Once again, I don't have any particular love for the character of Kiro, but the fact that they are trying to create new supporting characters is something.
And that we've had this arc of Kiro proving himself.
Yes. Yeah. Once again, and then cut to full on Spawn imagery of Lumiya just staring out at the desert with a flowing bat cape. That's concentrated evil.
Right. And then from off panel, somebody says, "I believe you have something that belongs to me."
Yeah. And then
it's Luke.
You using the Force.
Using the Force, telekinesis, the power of energy over matter and mind over both. As Luke pulls his lightsaber from her belt into his hand.
Yeah, that's the Force. And it's just this time it's gonna be different.
You didn't think I'd face you unprepared a second time, did you?
And so and Lumiya's like, "Oh, you're dead now, buddy. Laser whip time."
So she pulls out her whip. Luke busts out his lightsaber. And then, what's this? Luke brings a second lightsaber.
Which are apparently super easy to build.
I mean, admittedly, this one's shorter, and it seems like the blade is all sorts of weird and messed up. So this is a slapdash. I need to just throw something together.
Yeah. But just we've never seen anybody do that. That's wild. I will say, though, it does set the precedent for Ahsoka and her long and short blade.
Totally. No, I love the Katana and Tonto samurai vibe here. Yeah,
very samurai, which I like. And of course, she has to out loud say, 2 blades, one long and one short.
Just in case the art might be misinterpreted here.
Against the 2 natures of your weapon, he thinks. Once again, why one out loud? Why one in head?
We do get Luke's lightsaber as the correct color on one panel, and then those colors swap on the next panel.
I will say, continuing to be a problem in this book is coloring. Anyway, now he's got one blade to fight the energy of the lasers and one to fight the physical of the whip.
Can I tell you just how much I love anyone dual-wielding lightsabers? It is maybe one of my favorite things.
It is one of the coolest images that can be in Star Wars, 100%. Playing those, the Jedi Survivor and stuff, those games, I'm always a dual-wielding guy.
Absolutely. And that was when Force Unleashed came out, you're just like, what? Yeah. 2 lightsabers? Yes!
This is what?
I mean, you get one scene of Anakin doing that in Attack of the Clones when he's fighting Dooku. And that fight rules.
Oh, yeah,
Admittedly, he gets absolutely jobbed by Dooku, but still.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you mess with Dracula. But it's never not cool. And the idea that it was just my mistake the first time, not bringing enough lightsabers.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then, they go at it again. And this time, Luke is just dominating here. The light whip and the tendrils are coming at him, he blocks them both and then begins just cutting a swath through them both with his lightsabers.
But here's the big thing. He says, "Don't you think this is a little pointless?" Shh. And then she says, "Don't call me that." What?
Yeah, Luke knows something about Lumiya that Lumiya doesn't want said out loud.
Mm-hmm. And then they keep fighting, and she says, "She doesn't exist anymore. You killed her." Pew, pew.
So now we, the reader, are being like, wait, who? What? What's going on here?
I mean, the second it was a shh sound, I had an idea of who this might be.
Yeah. So there is another clash. Luke coming in with both lightsabers, flipping over some tendrils, cutting them apart, pulling at the laser blade yet again.
I like that because he has two lightsabers, his ability to flip is also now more involved in the fighting.
For sure. Lumiya tries to pull the same stunt again by deactivating her laser, but Luke lets go preemptively and is able to fling both blades away.
I count two lightsabers.
Yeah, she says, no. I have it, his lightsaber, and that's when Luke hits them both with his shorter saber, knocking them both away.
I want her to be like, no, right, second lightsaber, shit. No, she says, no, my whip, I lost them both. Keep away from me with that lightsaber.
And then Luke does the samurai dash at her, blade slashing apart her headdress, leaving her exposed as he stands victorious behind her as she collapses to the ground.
And then Kiro is like, I missed everything. Is it over, Luke? I wasn't.
Was Kiro just standing there the whole time?
I just like, what were you looking at, Kiro? Like, and then he was like, oh shit,
birds.
Yeah, it's just like, oh shit, right, lightsaber duel. How'd that go?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yes, it's over, Kiro. And Lumiya says, finish me. And of course, Luke's not just going to murder her.
Kiro, sensing the vibe here, is like, do you know her?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does.
Because, she goes on to this monologue about how she is being made to suffer because Luke Skywalker is the one who made her suffer in the first place.
Yeah. Suck it, Luke.
She's now a cyborg, a mockery of life, half woman, kept alive only by my machine parts.
I mean, we're getting back a little bit to what's his name, the cyborg bounty hunter.
Oh, Valance? Yeah.
Yeah. Because we're getting back to that same thing where it's like, I'm less than human, I'm machine parts, and curse the day.
It's more machine now than man.
Yeah. I didn't know you were still alive. I didn't even know it was you I'd killed. Just some Imperial who was trying to kill me and a lot of good rebels.
Kiro finally being like, Luke, who is she?
And we get, for the first time, her whole name, I believe.
Shira Elan Kola Bree. And now I am Lumiya.
I'm calling it, they did not have this thought when they first, because once again, we talked about Lumiya seemed like a straight up robot. This was definitely after the fact, but okay.
Shira Bree. So, back 40 issues ago.
But here's my question. When this character comes back and all that stuff, is this still the backstory?
Yeah!
It's still Shira Bree?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
To the point when she has interactions with Mara Jade, and there's beats where it's like, oh, this is Luke's ex meeting Mara Jade? Uh-oh, there's tension here.
That's really fascinating to me, though, because just like, and I guess they probably just fill it in, but like, the idea about like, oh, did you read those few issues she was in? But I guess
they recontextualize it, obviously, but the whole, like, she double-crossed the rebellion, she was a secret apprentice of Darth Vader, like, all that's there.
But you didn't recall any of that when we were first doing Shira Bree stuff.
I didn't know that this, again, like, the fact that they just, like, kept it all, like,
yeah.
Oh, Shira Bree. Okay, because in the Legacy of the Force stuff, she's introduced as this, like, semi-apprentice of Darth Vader in the same way that so many other characters have been over the years, but the difference being that Darth Vader eventually brings her in front of the Emperor as like, hey, Emperor, I know you like to have your hands of the Emperor, right? AKA what Mara Jade is. As like the Emperor's personal like force-sensitive assassins. I've got one for you. Of course, Darth Vader's whole play there is to eventually have a like tool that he can use of it against the Emperor, but that never ends up coming to fruition before the Emperor and Darth Vader die.
Right.
Which is also like how Mara Jade gets like left just dangling in the wind after the fact as well.
Right. I'm looking at her Wikipedia, which is considerably long, as you might imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting, though. Yeah, I mean, it is sort of a thing of...
And again, we've always talked about throughout this book about how Star Wars like never really forgets anything. There's always these sticky bits. So like when I see all the bits coming together, my assumption as I'm reading this book is more along the lines of like, oh, they recycled some of these like names later. That's been a thing throughout Star Wars. But the fact that they wholesale take this character and as she is developed across this comic and then bring her into the future 20 years later as like another piece of lore that gets introduced into the expanded universe never really occurred to me because, like, I don't know, I didn't think Star Wars would take that much time and effort to do that.
Or care about this comic at all, that I always sort of just view as something that was kind of tossed off and then almost unanimously forgotten.
But yeah, no, like I hadn't quite put together that this is the character that survives all of that, almost whole cloth.
Because just skimming the Wikipedia, they keep the basic, even if they recontextualize it and they fill in a lot of details, of course, of the comic didn't.
Sure, yeah.
But like it's the basic beats of her story, or
for sure. Yeah, and like her relationship with Luke during the time of the rebellion, like that's all still there.
If anything, all that just gets drilled down into.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
So yeah, this is Shira Bree. She's back. She was Lumiya the whole time. Or at least this issue says she is.
Yeah. Lumiya, the man who made you feel this way used you as a tool, but he's dead now and he wouldn't want you to go on like this. At the end, he reconciled to the good in himself, as you know I can, or as you can, sorry, I know it. Believe me, as Darth Vader was my father, and then, what is this?
Kiro interrupts Luke's impassioned, like, plea.
The sky just got all squiggly, Luke.
Luke, suddenly we're in a 1960s Doctor Strange comic. What's happening?
Yeah, it is really, it just looks like something coming out of hyperspace. I'm like, is that what that's indicating?
I mean, we've never seen anything to say that that's not what it looks like.
Oh, it just seems like ships just appear out of hyperspace, though, when we see it. Right? They just kind of go like, and they're there.
Yeah, we've never seen them do it in atmosphere.
That's true. And then we go to the next page, and there is, God, the weirdest fleet of ships.
Because Lumiya says, then despair now, Luke Skywalker. The Nagai invasion fleet is here.
The Nagai have some weird-looking ships, man.
Yeah, the Nagai are weird. I mean, if you were a weird goth punk that called all of your best soldiers knives, wouldn't you have a bunch of weirdo ships as well?
Yeah. Hey, man, could you add some more stuff to my ship to make it look weirder?
If you were to design your battle fleet as a 1980s goth punk, wouldn't you want it looking like a spaceship that Pinhead would fly?
We have such things to show you.
I mean, these look like Cenobite spaceships.
Yeah. They do.
They're all different. They're all weird. They have all got like spikes that don't need to be there.
Oh Lord, no. Lord, no.
Weird twisty veins around the bottoms of some of them. They've got weird protrusions in places that like seem unnecessary. Like these are the Cenobites of spaceships. And also there's a Klingon bird of prey down there in the bottom left.
No, it's not just. I mean, there's some recycled imagery in here. Because there's also a ship with some Starfleet nacelles in there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's also some Mad Maxy kind of vibes to it of like needless engine parts and stuff on ships.
There's one in like the middle of the panel near the top that looks like a Nautilus with like a fucking tuba growing out of the side of it.
Yes, which is very weird. I don't understand that. These
Mhm.
don't make any practical sense, but they're weird and they fit the character. It's once again, it's very expressionistic. It's not. You're like, how would that fly? Doesn't matter. Look at it.
Yeah. And also, like, this is something that is invading from beyond what we know, so it is going to be strange and alien and unfamiliar.
Yeah. It's horrific. Yeah, these are definitely meant to be scary characters.
So the Nagai are here and they're invading. Uh-oh.
That's bad.
That's bad.
I don't know if you've listeners at home. I don't know if you've realized it's quite bad that this is happening. Yeah, this is not good news. So anyway, yeah, there you go, and that's where we leave it. That's our cliffhanger.
Yeah, next, escape.
Escape.
We got to get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, definitely feels like a different comic.
Right? It feels like this comic took a hard left turn into, we're telling a Star Wars now.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where almost like you almost maybe should have started a new comic. It's not, just to imagine the people reading this month to month. This had to be wild when you're like, whoa, this is doing something very different.
Yeah, especially considering the juxtaposition. I mean, last issue again was like we were starting to side by side the wacky sitcom nature of Joe Duffy's writing with this more serious context, and then we just veer hard into the more serious stuff.
It just feels like it kind of flopped over into this, and I wonder because this book is almost ending. I don't know why they chose to end it. I don't know if it was a license thing or a sales thing, but I will say it is too bad that this happened so late because I'm sure a lot of people at the time probably gave up reading the comic going, especially after you got, I mean, the fact that the Ewok issue was but like 2 issues ago.
I know.
What I'm saying, but I can imagine being one of those people who was like, I guess this Star Wars book is like for kids, so forget it. Right before it gets to become actually pretty interesting, I think it makes this weird. Once again, it makes this all weird. Now you would never see a shift like this in one title, I don't think.
Especially in one title where the writer and artist stay consistent. Because we've had books where it's like, new writing team suddenly comes in, new artistic team comes in, and the tone and vibe of the book change. Right. I mean, the most indicative I can tell you of that is, honestly, around this era as well, New Mutants was going through a very similar shift a few years after this.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about that, though, is there's usually some sort of demarcation, like a creative team change. And especially now, we live in a world where we look at each creative team's run as almost a singular entity, right? There's that run.
And Marvel especially, like, loves putting a new #1 out.
Big time, yeah. Which, I mean, but in some ways that makes sense because it is sort of like a demarcation of this was this person's run. What I find weird is where they do the new #1s within the same person's run because that's sort of like, I don't understand. Like, okay. But it is sort of I always look at anytime a new creative team takes over as sort of a clean slate of sorts, even if they pick up threads, there is sort of a and there's going to be differences.
Right.
But here, it just, out of nowhere, it's like, well, this is a totally different look, approach to storytelling, tone. It's wild.
I don't know about look necessarily, but it's definitely like the artist is allowed more free reign than before.
It's still the same art style, but how it's being used, the expressionism, the way the art's carrying it, the type of action. It does have a different art style, even if it's the same artist. A different like type of artistic storytelling, at least.
It's wild to think this is basically the same creative team that did the Ewok issue 2 issues ago, right?
Which is like, was like, God damn it, man. This
feels so Saturday morning cartoony. It's the year of the Ewok. We get it.
We're really falling apart here, man.
I mean, the big difference there is, again, the inker. We had Tom Palmer on inks in that issue.
But it's the same writer.
Same writer, same penciler. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still... It's wild, man. It's just this.
And let's see. We have not had a consistent inker in 3 issues. It looks like. I'll be curious to see. Let's see. Next issue 97. Do we get any of the same Nope, it's Art Nichols on Ink's next issue. So who knows? Maybe there's going to be another wild swing next issue. I know, but
yeah, it's just I mean, I will say this. I think it does speak to when we joke about does Jim Shooter know about anything about this comic. I'm going to say no, simply because it does feel like this is a very experimental book, surprisingly, for like a big licensed book that they have. You know, they're taking big chances, issue to issue, which can be frustrating. Except now we like what they're doing, right? But then other times, like that Ewok issue.
When this book started in 77, Marvel is at a very different place than it was in the mid-80s. There's such a big seed change in like what even the popular comic is. Because like we were reading about times when this book was like the thing keeping Marvel afloat as a company. Oh, yeah. And now where it's like, no, X-Men is one of the biggest selling comics in the world.
And we're talking about
times are different.
Is coming out. People are, I mean, yeah, Marvel is starting to be known as the place that's doing innovative stuff.
The House of Ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And so it does feel like, for a while, this book felt like it was way in the past. And now it feels like it's trying to catch up with what's going on in comics in general. And of course, you know, we're only a few years out from, because when is this? This is 85?
This is 85, yeah.
So, yeah, we're like a year out from Watchmen and Dark Knight, or, you know, a year or two out from Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns, and like the industry will never be the same kind of stuff.
Sure. So it's interesting seeing this book become more contemporary over the course of 3 issues.
Yeah. Yeah. Before it just straight up stops.
Yeah. Well, look, good things can't last forever.
No.
Especially in comic books.
Company, and it will go to a different company that will do varying degrees of stuff.
Yeah. But that's it for this issue.
Yes.
John, if people want to support us and what we do as we become comic book historians,
you can go over to the Patreon page, which is patreon.com/punchup, that's punchup ENT. Get cool exclusive bonus content and early episodes. We don't mention this. You can listen to these episodes a week in advance on our Patreon feed. Plus super, super early episodes of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, like years before they come out.
Hey, that show is done. Did you all know that?
On the Patreon, it is. And in fact, it's just about to become Campbell and Jones Meet the Slashers on the Patreon. There's technically a whole new show.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you do check in periodically with your Frankensteins and Wolfmens and vampires.
When they pop up with new movies. Yeah.
Yeah,
we're going to be talking about the Luc Besson Dracula. We're going to be talking about The Bride. More when they are available to stream. But I'm not going to theater. But yes, we will still check in with the monsters as they release new movies. But
yeah, anyone who's over there, you can also find John and I doing the we're rewatching, speaking of old things, the old Spider-Man TV show. Yes, there was a Spider-Man TV show back in the 70s. Yeah. It was a thing. I have seen it.
Yeah, we're in the process of recording those now. That'll probably be like summer that'll start coming out.
Just in time for a brand new day.
Yeah. This is what Spider-Man used to be, kids.
Yeah. But
wasn't always good. We weren't always eating good.
Another great way to support us is, of course, over on our YouTube page. Maybe you're there right now. Maybe you're watching along with us, because that is one of the best ways to consume this show, because you can read the comic along with us. You can see all those weird Nagai ships we were just describing, or see the very cool panel layouts of the first 8 pages of this issue over on our YouTube page. That's youtube.com/@punchupentertainment. While you're there, please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know in the comments below. Did you know that this comic book was a secret banger in the last 10 issues? Because I didn't.
And setting up lore that will matter, 20 plus years later.
And again, maybe that was on me for not having that unlock moment the moment Shira Bree was mentioned. But again, that is it was 20 years from this issue being published. It was also 20 years ago from when we're recording this. So
I mean, none of that matters now, obviously.
That was middle school Mike being yeah, Lumiya, she'll turn Darth Caedus into a bad guy. Great. Actually, no, it wasn't great at the time. It was really bad at the time.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what's going on with the network and stuff.
Yeah, but I think that's going to do it for us this week. As always, I have been Mike Gargoni.
I'm John Campbell.
And remember, may the panel be with you.